ways to do things. And here's the thing, we never get too old to learn new ways. Some of the best ideas I've ever had, I probably learned from some of you motor scooters. Yeah, some of you. What else have we got?
We got a gate.
I'm sorry? Oh, here again, we got smoke coming out of sockets. Oh, keep going because I want to talk about, hey, look here, no smoke out of the sockets. This isn't a pressurized house. They got fire burning, but it's not, it's either self-vented, but there's no smoke coming out of the soffits as they're going up on the roof. That means it's not pressurized. It hadn't burned that long, it isn't that hot. Or the fire isn't something totally separate from where they're entering the structure. Go to another one. Oh, that was another one, wasn't it? Again, look at the, no, go back, I'm sorry. Look at the smoke coming out of the gable end, but look out, no smoke out of the soffits. Now, there's different reasons that can happen, but that gives you an indication. If you cut a hole over here on these wings, you're not gonna get that much movement of smoke. It's not pressurized. That really is not pressurized smoke coming out of the end of that gable. It's coming out, but it's not pushing out real heavy. Okay, go to another one. Kevin Dunbar.
Yes, sir.
You got an opinion on it?
Which one?
I don't know, you flinched on a couple of them.
No, I like cutting stuff.
Keep going.
No, I'd stay away from that overhang. Still on the opposite side.
Again, see, they're going out, you see where most of your smoke's at, up there at the top. Oh, hey, let me talk to y'all about, how many of y'all know that you only have to cut a top cut on when you're cutting a hole? There's two situations where you don't have to make a top cut. If you have a functioning ridge vent, and I don't know that's an old house. But if you have a functioning ridge vent, you see how that smoke, and I don't know that this is a functioning ridge vent, but you see how smoke is coming at the peak of the roof all the way across, it looks like? If that is a functioning ridge vent, the decking doesn't go all the way to the ridge board. So if you know and you see it's a functioning ridge vent, and when I say that, there's such a thing as an imposter. Somebody took money from people and put a ridge cap up there and never took the time to cut the decking back. But if it's a functioning ridge vent, you can go straight away from your roof ladder and start making your down cuts. You don't even have to make a top cut. As long as you make your down cut high enough, then you'll be able to pull from there. The other time is truss. Trusses have no ridge board. But here's the thing about trusses. Personally, if there's already fire in a truss attic, I'm not going on the roof. Now, I may go down, or I may go on an aerial ladder, but I'm not going to put my crew or myself on a roof where when I get there, if fire is already in that attic, and it's trusses, I'm not going on it. Now, I'll go on a truss, cut a hole, and punch through and take fire to the truss, to the attic. But the thing is, on trusses, you have such, pardon me, they fail so fast. I made apartments the other day with 68s. And when I got there, here I got guys on the roof, and when I look inside, the trusses are already burnt away. They just aren't far enough along. They either read it well enough or got lucky. They didn't go far enough along because the trusses, small dimensional lumber and those gusset plates, nobody's kidding about, they kick out. They'll drop right out. And I know y'all have all heard that if you go walking into a house or crawling into a building and you start hitting gusset plates on the floor, that roof's already failed. Those gusset plates are kicking out. Okay, go to the next one. How about another one? Any questions? Oh, I know this rookie from 18s, he cut a hole on this one right now. Right? Yeah. Okay, how about the next one? Does anybody not believe in using the fan? Have I hit all my bullet points?
Absolutely.
Sir?
Yeah, absolutely. In my defense, Chief Fisher was supposed to be doing my job. He'd do a lot better.
No, hang on. I've got my bullet points on here to go by. I think I hit them. What was the picture before? I already forgot where I was going. Oh yeah, fans. Does anybody not believe in using fans? I know that's a bad deal, because I know personally, if I was a non-believer and I was sitting out here and nobody else raised their hand, I wouldn't raise mine. Hey, if you know when to use it and you use it right, they work incredibly. But let me tell you something. And it may be other departments too, but in the city of Houston, we're buying these fans called leader fans. They put out 29,000 plus CFMs, where our other fans put out somewhere between 14 and 12, depending on the make and model. They're problematic. We got them without really any additional training. They work off a totally different principle than pressurization. They work off the principle of air entrainment. If you use it improperly, you can have that fire come all over back on you, because it'll over pressurize. So you need to make sure what kind of fan you've got and try to figure out. I don't know what the correct answer is. But if it's a leader fan, and there's leader electrics and leader gas, and even the leader electrics put out more than our normal Tempest gas fans. But it works on a different principle. It's a power, it's not a wide cone that seals a door, it's a straight stream that goes through. It's a long story, that's another class. But just be aware of it, because it can bring that fire right back on you or your crews. What else have I got?
Hey, Kevin.
Hey.
So I know in the past you talked to us a little bit about, in our skill class, about cutting, the effects of wind in your cutting.
Oh.
And cutting on the clean side versus dirty side of the roof.
Excellent point. I gotta have you guys keep me on track. Hey, what he's talking about is winds, and absolutely. I actually had, I'll just tell you, hey, here's my rule. Again, it's only my rule. I don't cut into the wind on the windward side in a wind greater than 10 miles an hour. I say that, I preach it, it's my goal, and one day one of my own guys at 46s read a study somewhere, and I still don't know who did it, but they printed it and slid it under my door during the middle of the night. I found it when I got up in the morning, and it contradicted what I'm telling you. It said that on some roofs, you can cut into up to a 16-mile-an-hour wind without having negative consequences. Some roofs. Here is the problem with these sometime things. It's like this new friction loss chart that we got sent out, which, if anybody has any doubts, it chat my tail. It is best case scenario, and we can't work off best case scenarios in the fire service, because all it takes is that one bad case for things to go wrong. So a 10-mile-an-hour wind is where I cut it off, and it's easy for me to tell. At a 10-mile-an-hour wind, your flags are standing straight out and you're kind of flapping. So it's easy in the morning when I know if I come in, when I leave on a fire call and I look at the flags, I can tell about what speed it is. The other thing is smoke leaving a building. What's our proper climate angle on a ladder? 70 degrees. This may be my attempt to cheat and make things easy on myself. But if you come up to a fire scene and the smoke is leaving the building like this, that's about a 10-mile-an-hour wind. If that smoke's laying flat, that's more than a 10-mile-an-hour wind. So imagine this, if you cut a hole on the windward side and that wind is coming in and blows into that hole, you can have horribly negative consequences on the crews inside. Oh my God, I have got to talk about surviving a flashover.
Oh, I wish you would.
Sir?
I wish you would.
You gonna give me more time?
Absolutely. Anybody want to stop?
Anybody gotta leave early?
Yes, Captain, you got all night.
Let me tell you, surviving a flash, I'm gonna use the term flashover, but really what it is, flashover is a particular way that conditions deteriorate. We all know how that is. But what I'm talking about doing is when suddenly and unexpectedly you're covered up in fire. Once it happens, it is irrelevant as how it got there. Prior to it happening, it is important. When, if we read the smoke note, we need better ventilation, or we need to cool the smoke, we're trying to keep it from flashing over. But we can suddenly and unexpectedly be covered up because of wind change, sealing failures, gasoline, all kind of different things can happen unexpectedly with no warning, and you're covered up in solid orange. So what do? What do you do? Hey, the old saying, and I just read an article again that someone repeated it. It said that you could not survive a flashover. You could not survive a flashover. That's what we were told when we didn't have air packs, and that was true. If you were in with no air pack and it flashed over, you could not take one breath of that superheated gas and make it. But since we had air packs, when we got air packs, what it meant after that was you were going to lose your ears. Your ears are going to burn off your head before you got out. Then we got hoods. So now we've actually had firefighters not only survive flashovers, but be able to talk about it. So how do you survive a flashover? First and foremost, and it almost boggles my imagination that all of us wouldn't automatically do that, and that's to go to the floor. Because just prior to that flashover, it's going to get really bad. And when it gets bad, we got to get down. So go to the floor. Now, you got 3 options. I used to teach only 2. I only knew 2. One of them was if you got a hose line in your hand and you're pumping good pressure and you have the right nozzle, and I don't want anybody waiting for me outside the door. I know how you guys are about your nozzles. If you have the right nozzle and you have a plan on how to use it, you get the fire off of you. But you better be pumping good pressure. You better be flowing good GPM. The other one is that you get out. You leave the building. And that could mean that you came in on a wall, you knew where you had to go, you know how to read a coupling, you follow the line, but you exit the building. Prior to December 17, 2007, those are the only 2 options I had. The other option was a body bag. But December 17, 2007, a firefighter in Beaumont, Texas named Cody Schroeder got caught in a flashover after his own crew yanked the nozzle out of his hand inside the house. Can you believe that? His own crew yanked the nozzle out of his hand. He'll tell you, suddenly smoke came to the floor. He had just seen a window. He tried to run and dive through the window, had burglar bars. Said he did a body blow twice on the window, knew he was either going to die. He couldn't get out, so he laid on the floor, pushed his mask into the floor. This is key because I'm fixing to tell you how I wasn't smart enough to think of this. He clenched his hands to protect his fingers, and he covered his mask with his arms. For over 2 minutes, he's inside this house. You can actually find the video still on YouTube, Beaumont Flashover. And for over 2 minutes, he lays in this house cooking, severely 2nd, 3rd degree burns. But he survived. I found out about it because I was at 34s one day teaching how to survive flashovers, and one of the guys said, hey, that guy you're talking about, he's friends with my family. So I got his name, number, and I called to tell him that my own captain had survived a flashover 2 weeks after we drilled on how to survive flashovers at 46s. 2 weeks after we drilled on how to survive flashovers, my own captain got caught in a flashover, did what we had drilled on, and survived, but he burned his hands up. Now he survived. He's back at work 7 weeks later. But when I heard Cody Schroeder had covered his mask, I didn't know how he did it. And I'm not the sharpest tack in the shed, so I just thought hands. So that's what we taught. That's what we drilled on. Were you there then, John? So anyway, Captain Padgett, he got caught in a flashover. Actually, he got caught in a flashover because the truck crew cut a hole on the windward side in a 24-mile-an-hour north wind. That's exactly why he got caught in a flashover. But he survived because he covered his mask and he fell through the back wall. Luckily, it was a wood house, fell through the back wall, and then he fell on the down power lines, got shocked. He had a bad day. It was also his birthday, but he survived. Well, when I called Cody Schroeder and I started talking to him. He tells me the story. When I told him what I had taught, he said, "Oh no, that's not what I did. I clenched my hands to protect my fingers. I covered my mask with my arms." So that's what we teach now. Clench your hands, bury your mask in your arm, and cover with your arms. It allows you to still move. He laid there. He had no choice but to lay there and burn. Captain Paget got up and moved. Now, I'm gonna tell you, the day I taught at 46 how to survive a flashover, my exact words were, when it flashes over, the fire is gonna come to the floor, and in seconds, it's gonna start to come up as that smoke, that fuel starts to be consumed. And that's what I told my guys. I said, that's when you make your move. That's when you get on your nozzle and you roll over, get on your back, get in a corner, put it on a full fog for you guys like fog nozzles. You get the fire off of you. Or you find your way out. But that's when you do it, that fire comes up. Because that had been my only experience. When I got to Captain Paget in the backyard, he's standing there with skin hanging off of me. He looked at me, he said, I did exactly like we drilled. He said, I went to the floor, but the fire never let up. He said, I had to move. When we went in where he had fallen, what I had never experienced was a house full of crap. Hoarded. I mean, from wall to wall. When that house flashed over, every single thing on the floor was combustible. Everything burnt. In fact, Captain Paget was covered in the stuffing from dolls and bears and stuff. He had a horrible day, but not horrible. No, because if we'd have put off drilling on it 2 weeks in 1 day or 2 weeks in an hour, he'd have been dead. He'd have died. So if you never heard that before, tell it to other people. Don't sit on it, because it could be the very reason somebody you know survives. Can I tell about getting air out of a wall?
Yes, sir.
Woo, you motor scooters, hey, that club y'all were gonna go to after this, they're gonna be closing the doors before we're done. Hey, if you're running out of air, there's 3 places you can go. First off, I can tell you, this thing about going to the floor, that's great, but you can't breathe that smoke on the floor anymore. It's not like the old days. You can buy some time by breaking your mask and breathing through your coat, but that's short term. You have to have other options. Ideally, oh yeah, we want to get to this too, garage apartments, propensity to fall over. Yeah, we might be into tomorrow. But here, I'm gonna make it real quick. I don't know about, okay, this may work. Sheetrock walls, between a 16-inch set of studs, 8 foot high, there's between 2 and 5 minutes worth of trapped air. If you make a house or an apartment with sheetrock, it doesn't work with shiplap, because shiplap breathes and it'd be full of smoke. But down here, you got air trapped in the walls. So if you go down to the floor, Captain Kelly, do you still have that device you bought? You still got it? I don't have it, but my plan is to go down to the floor and punch a hole big enough that when I unplug my regulator, I can stick my mask in that hole in the wall, create a seal, and breathe that air out of that wall. Now, Captain Kelly has the cheaper version, right, of 2 options. There was a guy up on the East Coast invented, he was much smarter than me. He not only taught it, he invented 2 devices. One, you unplug your regulator, plug this device in, it's got just a rubber hose, and you punch a hole like with your pick on a Halligan, just a small hole, and you put the rubber hose in there, create a seal, and you just sit there, and Captain Kelly's gonna have a whole lot easier time getting that air than I am. If you buy the more expensive model, it's a steel rod on a rubber hose, and the steel rod you shove in the wall, and I believe you blow up a bulb, but here's the point. There's air in this wall all along. So back in 1989, there was a high-rise fire in Philadelphia, Meridian Plaza fire, where 3 firefighters, a lieutenant and 2 firefighters died. Ran out of air on the 30th or 33rd floor. They crawled off. They called their mayday. They're waiting to be rescued, and they laid on a wall, guys. I remember the pictures where their smudges of their hands came down a wall. All 3 of them laid together and died against the wall with air trapped all around them. They never knew it. They never heard it. You don't come up with great ways to survive when you think you're fixing to die. Believe me, when you think you're fixing to die, every ounce of your energy is toward fighting panic. You can't come up with great ideas. That's why I find it so imperative that now that I have you motor scooters trapped behind that sealed door, the police officer on the other side with an Uzi, that I'm going to get out everything I can. Maybe not, but I'm going to try. Okay, there's 2 other places. P-trap. underneath the kitchen sink. Now, these other two are for residential structures. It won't work on commercial. But if you can get to a P-trap under a sink, you can pull that collar loose, move the P-trap. If anybody doesn't know, it's that U underneath the sink. You want to access the pipe that goes straight into the wall. Because that pipe goes into the wall, it goes down to a drain and up to a vent through the roof. If you can do a lip lock on that pipe, you can breathe air from the roof. I've already cleared this. Hey, I know. And you know, I'm fixing to give you the other one, and I'm going to tell you how time changes your mindset. Okay, so the P-trap. The thing about all of these, you have to practice it. When you get an opportunity on a vacant structure or a house, you need to practice and figure out how you're going to do it, because we're talking about doing it when the option is life or death. I can tell you this, I've never, ever inhaled, not one time. But I have established more dadgum holes on sheetrock, and I pulled more P-traps than the last one, a toilet. I've kicked more toilets off their bases. I know how to do it. I've practiced it. It's not going to be new to me if suddenly I find myself or my crew in trouble. I know how to go through the motions. I've never inhaled. I cannot give you a 100% guarantee what I'm telling you will work. When I passed it by hazmat, when I passed it by NIST, the theory is there, but I've never inhaled. But I guarantee if it comes to breathing, that's what hazmat, or the scientist for hazmat said if it comes to breathing today's smoke or doing the P-trap, the toilet, or the wall, do that. Because today's smoke, the only chance you got with it is somebody got a cyno kit when they drag you out. So the toilet sounds really gross, doesn't it? Here's the weird thing about that. I bet you easily I busted 20 toilets off between teaching this, always teaching it. And the way to do it is always to mule kick them off. Don't hit it with your tool. Do not hit it with your tool. Found that out. See, I'm a good teacher because I've screwed up everything possible, so I can tell y'all what not to do. If you hit it with your tool, you're going to break it into pieces you can't control. You'll never access the pipe. If you back up and mule kick it, it's no problem. Snaps it right off its base, and you'll be looking at a 3 or 4 inch pipe going right down to the ground. And you know the weird thing about it? I have yet to do one that looked nasty. Didn't. Just recently I did one that the toilet made me nauseous to get to, but once I got rid of the toilet, the pipe, they don't hold water. When they flush a toilet or run a sink, in Houston, we're on a sewage treatment system. It goes down a pipe and leaves the area. If you come to my house, I live in the country, you don't want to do it. You might want to do the sheetrock or forget the toilet and the P-trap. It's not a viable option. But it is a viable option in Houston. But you have to know about it and you have to think about it. Just going through the motions of getting the collar off the P-trap, it's easy. Today it's all PVC pipe. It's got a flange on it. You can take one hand, get it, swing it out of the way. Now here I used to give my rookies a hard time. I would tell them, hey rookie, we go in a bathroom with 2 sinks and a toilet. Guess who gets the toilet? I always gave it to my rookie. Guess what? I figured it out. I'm taking the toilet. It's a booger bear to hold your head up and get on that pipe. I mean, it's hard. You got to hold yourself up off the ground. I'm going to lay on that floor face down and just sit there and breathe and make my rookies, my pipemen, breathe out of the P-traps. And we're going to swear, like they say in Vegas, what happens here stays here, you know. But it's a viable option. Okay, hey, y'all probably look at this and say, what's he talking about? This is a 2-story garage apartment. Has anybody ever made a fire in a 2-story garage apartment? Do y'all know about their propensity to pancake, collapse, and to fall over? They do. See, it's incredible. Hey, I have it 7 times in my career, 2-story garages. Like this is a little strange because it has a center stairway. But actually the center stairway, if you look at this thing, is the only thing keeping this building up. If you take that center stairwell out and just make it one beam, this thing would fall over. A garage, any garage, detached, And a garage attached to a house with a breezeway is a detached garage, but it is attached when it comes to fire. You motor scooters better pull some sealing in that breezeway and cut it off. But structurally, it's detached. A garage and a garage apartment, they're a three-sided box. Y'all ever give any thought to how many sides of a three-sided box you can compromise and have it continue to stand? None. None. I've had 7 2-stories, 3 of them pancaked, 3 of them fell over, 1 of them fell into a tree. I actually got jumped by my chief because I went on location with a 2-story garage apartment, totally involved, and when he got there, it was a 1-story, and I had to point out the stairwell in this lot used to be attached to the 1-story in this lot. Now here's the strange thing about it. I think I understand because of the load up on top, but detached garages, every single one I've ever made that collapsed, all pancaked. I've never ever made a single story garage that fell over. They all pancake, came straight down, but garage apartments, it's 50-50 with one riding a tree. So you have to think about that when you make a garage. Our worst nozzle would skeet water more than 3 or 4 times the depth of a garage. But yet we have firefighters. I just saw one on Facebook. It's an awesome looking picture. He's inside of a 1-story garage getting it. He's right up in the middle of it, man. He's getting it, working it. What he doesn't realize is all that has to happen is one of them studs on one of them other 3 walls go, and he'll be wearing it. And I know y'all some big strong motor scooters, but you're not that strong. So you have to be aware of it. I taught this class in District 20, and that night they made garage apartment. When I got there, when it was out, every one of them officers said, man, Captain, that's the first thing went through my mind. All you got to do is be aware of it. It just makes you a smarter firefighter so that you don't go bebopping off into a garage and have you or your crew wear it. The other thing about garages, guys, is they're small chemical warehouses. They house everything nobody will put in their house. If you come to my house and my garage is on fire, you better back up about a mile and just time distance and shield and stay away. Is that not right? Everybody puts their pesticides, herbicides, gasoline, propane, butane, cutting the rigs, right? All goes in the garages. And then we make them, and invariably we say, oh, it's just a garage. It's just a garage. Can of gasoline there burns 2,600 degrees. You know that? Your gear's not made for that. And when it goes, it's like that. Garages are small chemical warehouses. Okay, I feel like we're running out of stuff. We're running out of time. Well, that's how close they build. This is over in the Heights. I made this run the other day. Y'all believe how close they build houses?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they might as well be attached. I looked in there. I know that I couldn't have helped build that thing. I'm too wide, but a skinny guy could. But there can't be more than maybe 14 inches between those walls. You can go to the next one. Oh, man, good. Perfect timing. I'm just going to tell y'all. Halyards on ladders. Somewhere in the fire service, I failed y'all. I'm going to take credit for it. It's my failure. I can't blame anybody else. But I'm not going to fail you now. Halyards. When they ship you a brand new fire truck, they take those halyards loose and they tie the bed and the fly section together real tight. I didn't know you. Yeah, I guess I suck for somebody you're trying to film on.
No, you're doing great, Kevin.
They
should have been here.
They tie the bed and the fly section together real tight, and they do that for a reason. So when they're driving them 1,200 miles, every time they stop, those ladders aren't wearing. But then when you take delivery at the fire station, the halyards are supposed to be untied, and they're supposed, because guess what? When they're tied, like this one I found 2 days ago, when they're tied, that's a straight wall ladder. It's not an extension ladder. When you pull this off, you got 3 kids and a woman trapped on the 3rd floor balcony. The only thing difference between life and death is 10 seconds. And you pull this ladder off, that lady looks down there and says, "We better jump, kids. We're done." But I find them time after time tied together, some of them still from the factory 6 months after we take delivery. It's crazy. It's firefighters, I failed y'all totally, but I'm not gonna let you walk out the door anymore not knowing it. The halyards are supposed to be untied and they're supposed to be anchored to a lower rung so that it's always there. Not sometimes, always there. So that when you pull that ladder out and you're in heavy smoke, you don't have to feel around to where that halyard is so that you can raise it up and make that rescue. It's always there attached. And when I say you're supposed to pull it out and attach it, please, after you do it, double check and make sure that it's run through the right direction. But they're supposed to be attached, but you'll find them all over. And this isn't just HFD. It's all over. Halyards. Seems small, but it's not. 10 seconds difference between life and death, and it doesn't matter if that 10 seconds is because your halyard was not tied right, your bunker gear wasn't set up right, your hose wasn't loaded right. You put salvage covers on top of your vent saws, which I found one day. 10 seconds difference between life and death. We need to do all we can to save that 10 seconds every day from the moment we show up to work. Look and see what you can do. Y'all know what I'm talking about, bunker gear. I know you all relieved, guys. Your bunker gear still, no, I just got relieved by a couple of days ago by an officer that him and none of his guys had gear on at 7 o'clock in the morning. Wonder what kind of delay that would have been if the booper went off. 10 seconds. Are there any more slides or are we smooth out of time?
I think we're right about perfect.
Sir?
Right about perfect.
Right about perfect. Does that mean we're out of time? That's what that
We're
means.
dead on. We actually, we lied to you, told you only have an hour and a half, so we knew you were going 2 hours.
Really?
No. No.
That's just back to the trusses. Oh, hey, keep going. You might have passed up while I had my back. Oh, right there. Hey, that is a ridge board. That's the reason your normal construction, full dimensional lumber, that ridge board is your safety part, your safety area up there on those roofs. Trusses don't have that ridge board. If you go up and you stand on the very peak of a truss constructed roof, you're actually standing on the very edges of most probably 2 pieces of OSB. It's not, on a truss constructed roof, it's not the safest area. But by the same token, none of us should be tight roping a ridge, but I saw that on a video that I was gonna be on there. None of us should be tight roping, walking down a ridge. If you walk on either side of it and 1 foot goes through, you're still gonna straddle the ridge board. But, okay, are you ready for me to wrap it up?
If you're ready, Kevin.
I'm not ready. I mean, I hadn't even got into hydraulics yet.
We might have to save hydraulics. Might have to save hydraulics.
Sir?
We might have to save hydraulics. We're gonna bring you back.
Man.
Can't give them all at once.
Yeah, but I sure want to talk about 300 plus GPM on an inch 3/4 road. I want somebody's gonna say no way possible. Okay, I'll lay the groundwork for it. Are we gonna have question and answer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, guys, hey, I appreciate y'all paying attention, and I hope I covered something that y'all needed. If I'm gonna hang around if anybody wants to ask questions.
Before we do too many questions, hey, Jason, can you, soon to be Captain Quas, can you bring that cup up, please? Every time we have an instructor, Captain Jenkins doing this out of the kindness of his heart. Chief Fisher didn't tell you we were paying, right? Out of the kindness of his heart, and but what we did have is we have one gentleman, Reuben Johnson, on board, donated this Arctic cup, and Scott Hedges of Hedges Leather, you may have heard of him, made this custom band. It's got Space City Pools logo, the Houston Fire logo, and Senior Captain Jenkins instructor. So that's for you. Say thank you.
Well, thank
Hopefully
you.
bribe you into coming back.
Well, no, since you won't let me talk hydraulics, I've got to come back.
You gotta, yeah, I mean, eventually you'll have the whole set. But this is, I mean, guys, this right here is what we're trying to give back. I've joined the pools because I want to be better at my job, and there's people out there like Captain Jenkins that I don't get a chance to interact with on a daily basis. And the pools allows people like him and people like me to meet up. So eventually, maybe one day I'll be half as smart as he is, turn around and be able to teach guys that come behind me. So, thank you very much. He's gonna be around. Mose, when you're done, down the road at where?
Michigan 290.
All right.
Hey, can I say one more thing? Because I did forget something really, really important. That's the way my brain works. Hey, when you get down, when you're working on a bad roof, and I talked about getting down on your knees. Hey, here's the reason why. If you're standing and you suddenly go through, like some of these bad roofs where these guys fell in, if you're standing, the first thing that can possibly stop your fall is your hands. And look how far your hands standing are from the roof. And chances are, wearing all that gear, that's still going to push you up. But if you're on your knees, your hands are only about 6 inches from that ground. So it spreads your weight out, so you got a bigger surface area, and also it gives you so many options. If the roof starts going bad, you just fold out, lay flat, and kind of roll away from where it's going bad. But if you start to go in instantly, your hands are there, and you don't pick up this momentum. I'm sorry, I forgot a whole lot of other important stuff, but that was too important to not say. But thank y'all for the cut.
Absolutely, yes, sir.